everyone, welcome. I'm Amanda. If we've never met before, welcome. So today we'll do a little yin practice. So if you've never done that, it's a little slower paced, not quite as much movement, so spending a little more time working into different postures, staying in them a little bit longer, so some really deep openings. So typically in our vinyasa flow, we're really focused on sort of using our muscles. Here, we're really starting to let the connective tissue build some space as well. So just a little bit of a different style of practice. If you have any tools that you like to use for support, bolsters, blocks, pillows, sandbags if you'd like those for hip work, anything like that that you use for your practice, go ahead and grab those. And then we'll get started in a comfortable cross-legged seat or a hero's pose. So you pick how you'd like to start today. If you have a bolster or a prop that you'd like to sit on, once you find that seat, just sort of let the hips tilt a little forward. And then let the hands drop down on the knees. And then just close the eyes. Sit up nice and tall. Pull the belly back, up and in. Let the head and neck maybe roll out a little bit to lift the shoulders. Maybe let them make a couple circles. And then let's go ahead and close the eyes. And just start to tune in with your body, how it feels, where you might feel a little bit of tightness. And then let's let the palms turn up, thumb and first finger touch in Jana Mudra. And staying with that nice tall spine, so really building some length. And we're working to alternate mudra breath today. So if you are comfortable keeping your eyes closed, do so. You can always blink them open to watch the first couple rounds as well. But we'll start together with a full exhale. Drain all the air out and open the right palm as you feel empty. And then invite that new fresh air into the lungs, drawing it up the right side through the fingers, up the wrist, the elbow, shoulder, and into center chest. Stay upright and tall through the spine. Seal the finger and thumb together. Pause with that fullness and then open the left hand and send out anything that doesn't serve you any longer, letting it drain all the way down the hands and out each finger. Reverse that breath, bring it back in, filling up with new, fresh, clean oxygen, new prana, new energy coming back into the body. Let the ribcage expand as the thumb and finger close. And then open that right palm, empty it out. Drain it completely. And breathe in back through that right hand. Fill up. Lengthen the crown up to the sky. Seal it closed. Open left. Draining all the way out of the rib cage, the fingers, down the palm. Everything empties out. Pull the air in. Breathe deeply. Seal it closed, hold, and empty out right. Drain, letting it all wash out. We'll do that one more full round. Breathe in fully. Sit up, lengthen. Close it. And then empty, left hand opens as you drain the air out through those fingers. Breathe in through that left side one more time, seal both, and then let them both peel open, sending the air out. Palms turn back down on the knees for a little grounding, and just take note of how you feel. So you might notice a little heat in the belly, a little vibration in the center of the chest. As you feel ready, blink your eyes slowly back back open. Find your way over hands and knees to a table. And then you can slide that prop off to the side. And if a puppy variety is a lot for you today, you'll find a child's pose by letting the knees walk out wide, hips to heels, and head down. If you feel comfortable in puppy pose, knees are hip distance, toes behind. Hands walk forward, and instead of trying to open the throat today, we'll just drop the forehead straight down. So you'll let the shoulders soften, maybe the forearms touch. And then breathe. Let the chest drape down. You'll keep your gaze straight down. You might notice that I'm looking to the left side just so you can hear me a little bit better. But let the arms really soften towards earth. Breathing in. And with each exhale, finding your chest softening just a little bit deeper. Hips stay nice and high. Stay here. So as we spend some time in some of these postures, you may not hear me speaking as much as you normally would. And you might also not hear as many breath cues. So just continue to breathe in on your own. Making sure that breath is a connection to the body. It is how we allow the body to understand we're in a safe space and that it can let go, that it can soften. Just a few more moments here. And then from where you are, finding your way back up to all fours slowly. You'll walk the knees together and then have a seat back on the heels. So we're actually going to lift the front of the knees up for a little ankle stretch. I like to take a block or a smaller size pillow, and as you kind of lean back, just sort of tuck it underneath. Hands can rest onto the knees. And then you're leaning back, so stretching out the front of the foot, the front of the ankle crease. Heels are underneath the glutes, so you're sitting directly on the heels. And if this is a lot, you can lower whatever your knees are on. If you'd prefer to let this float, you can stay off of a prop, lean your hands back, and just lift up through the legs. But being that we're staying here for a little bit longer today, having a place to put the knees is a nice compromise. So a little less intensity, but a little more support for longer space. Draw the chin to the chest, or maybe let the head roll back, and then breathe. Just about 7 more breaths. Adjust as you need, maybe heighten or lower, whatever feels good. Last couple, breathe in, breathe out, fill up, and empty. So if you went backwards with the chest, if you're leaning back, you'll stack yourself back up, slide whatever is out from under those knees, and then come back up to all fours. Maybe rock the ankles a little side to side on the mat. And then we'll sort of take the opposite. We'll take a toe pose stretch. So press the balls of the feet into earth. And then you'll sit back towards your heels. So you might stay here with your knees on earth along with your hands. You might walk the hands up. Again, a block is a nice option. It can be under the hands. You can also sort of put it back between the heels for if we're rocking back, you can rest the heels on it and sort of let that support happen here. And if you prefer to float a toe pose, you can float arms or legs to thighs. You can also take a bolster or a pillow and put it in front of the knees. So you'd rest on it and then let the heels and the hips connect. So I like the bolster option for this pose if I'm going to be here for a little while. I feel it gives the right amount of intensity without sort of compromising form. So nice support, but still feeling a lot of sensation through the balls of the feet. Hands can rest on the thighs. They can also rest on blocks to your sides. Tuck the belly and breathe. See if you can keep the spine long. And again, if the bolster or the block or anything like that is too much under the knees, keep the knees on earth. You don't have to lift them off. This is really intense through the soles of the feet. So if you have anything going on, plantar fasciitis or plantar fascia issues, so plantar fasciitis or anything like that that you have happening in the feet, this can be a little more painful or challenging. So if you're feeling actual pain, not just slight tension or slight discomfort, but true pain, I want you to release out of this and find either a seat or a hero's pose with support that suits you. One more to stay. And then you'll slide whatever you have under the knees out to come back onto the shins. And again, same thing, maybe just pedal out the ankles. Cross the legs, have a seat. And then let the soles of the feet come together to touch. So butterfly pose here, we'll sit up nice and tall, maybe finding that bolster. And I like to use it with a block. So I have a nice high lifted space to sort of fold to. And if you walk that block a little closer to yourself, it'll let your bolster heighten up a little taller. So lots of options for this fold. Knees open wide, soften the chest down to whatever you're connecting it to if you're choosing that route. And remember to continue to stack up to what you need. So don't feel you have to force yourself to it, but find whatever you need to get your props tall enough to reach your chest and your third eye. If you can, put your head straight down so you have a nice long neck. Again, you might just notice that I'm looking to one side, and that's more just for volume so you can hear me a little bit better. And then again, breathe. Tune into yourself, breathe into those tight spaces. Using that breath to soften the hip crease, to release that tension, to remind us that we are here and we are okay. We came here on purpose to do this work. And while it may not be the most comfortable space, as long as we're breathing in it and we can continue to do so with purpose, we are okay. And if you find your breath becomes really choppy, that's a good indication that maybe you've either gone too far or something is painful instead of just uncomfortable. Just about another minute here, again, seeing if you can with each inhalation and each exhalation. Seeing if you can just soften a little tiny bit. As you feel ready, come up to center. Again, sliding that prop off to the side. And then we'll find our way back to a tabletop here. And we'll take a little wrist stretch and a little rinse out for the hips. So instead of palms down and fingers away from you. I want you to turn the heel of the hand away from you so the thumbs are out to the sides, pinkies are closest inward to each other. And then we'll rock back. See if you can hold that for just a few moments and then come back forward. Rock back, lean. And come on up. Keep moving through those options nice and slow. So take a couple breaths forward. Pause for a couple breaths back. So this movement can be slow or a little quicker depending on how you're feeling, how things are adjusting and opening. So again, take your time. Just a couple more moments with this variety and then we'll switch it to go side to side. If you're forward, see if you can lean back and we'll hold for 5, 4, press down through the wrists if you can, 3, 2, slowly come back up, turn those palms back forward, maybe sit back on the heels and do a little rinse out. And then we'll come back up, and this time thumbs are away from the knees, fingers are outside to side, so the fingers are facing the long edge of your mat. Shoulder distance still with the hands, and then the wrists are facing inward, so thumbs are away from the knees, pinkies are closest. And instead of forward and backward, we'll lean to the right and pause, and then lean to the left and pause. Again, go back right and pause. And lean left. So keep doing that. I'll turn and face you here for just a different view, but we'll continue to lean to one side, pause, and then back through middle and the other. Last couple to stay here. And I'll continue to face you for this next one. So we'll come back to that table. And then you'll step that right leg just a little bit forward and out to the side. So as you come down to a seat, this right foot is to the thigh of the left leg. So a little mermaid pose here. And if you'd like to sit on a prop of form, you can. We'll just sit up nice and tall for a moment here. Sort of working that inner arch of the left foot flat to earth. And then hands to the knees, let the eyes close. If you'd like to bring the hands to prayer. Or maybe back to Janu Mudra, that is an option. If you work with any other hand options or mudras that you'd like to take, yours to do so always. And then if this feels good, stay. If you'd like to start to twist to the right, you'll turn over that front knee. And then again, if you have a prop that speaks to you for support, once you're ready, you'll start to walk the chest down, keeping that twist, and then maybe let the head fall to that prop. And again, make sure you stack your props up tall enough, so if you need to support them with block or put a block under it, or just use multiple pillows or bolsters to stack, that is perfectly fine. So please make sure you are lifting them up to you as opposed to trying to get to your prop. And don't forget to breathe. So you might feel a really deep stretch
through the side obliques here, or even through the left and right hip creases, depending on where you might find tightness. You also might notice as you stay here, you start to get a little deeper into it, so you'll notice things soften as you breathe. Just a few more moments right where we are before we do this on our second side. As you feel ready, you'll start to lift the chest up.
Come back to center. And then bring the left leg in. Send the right leg back. So again, foot and right inner thigh connect. You most likely are facing the short edge of your mat. For viewing purposes, I'm facing you. And then if you are planning to use your bolster, switch it to the other side. And we'll stay upright and center for a few moments here. Again, you can use blocks or something else as well. And we'll just find a place to breathe here for a moment. You can stay here. You don't have to twist and you don't have to fold. So we're starting by just working some space in this right hip flexor, the right ankle, and the foot. And then as you feel ready, you can twist. And again, that might be where you stay. As you're ready, if you'd like to take that twist a little deeper, you'll walk out to whatever that device is you're laying to and mount. And remember that each side's a little different. So you might feel more or less sensation on this side, and that's okay. Our bodies are not actually symmetrical, so it's natural to feel differently from side to side. And separate from that natural sort of asymmetry, we also suffer injuries often to one side and not the other. So that also plays into how our connective tissues function on sides differently. And again, just about another minute, so another 60 seconds on this side. As you feel ready, starting to come back up to center. And then unwinding back to the middle. And then we'll find our way back to a table, setting ourselves up for a cow face. So we'll start with that right leg in front. So I actually like to take the left leg and tuck it behind. And then I'm going to use my smaller seated cushion, but you can sit on a smaller block or a smaller bolster. And then tuck the hips back onto that seat. And then once you're there, close the eyes. If you find you need more space from earth, use a prop that suits that better. Let the hands rest on the feet or the legs. face for a little bit here today on both sides. We're going to take 3 different styles of movement in cow face, separate from just sitting here for a few moments in stillness. So you might want some additional props as you start to fold and shift, so adjust as needed. So typical cow face arms would be left arm up, right arm behind. We're not actually going to work into those today. So we'll actually be using our arms side to side. So you can stay at center, maybe finding your block or a pillow of some form off to the left. So in front of that top foot, which is the right, you'll let the left elbow and forearm come down, and then the right arm reach up and over. If once you reach that block, it doesn't feel like enough, you can find earth instead. You can keep this right arm up, you can tuck it around the back, or you can tent it down to join the left. And then just breathe. Breathe into that space. Play around with where that right arm feels the most comfortable to remain, but also where you feel the sensation in the right spaces. Just a couple more moments, hinging to your left. And then as you're ready, come back up slowly. Reset, and then we'll twist to the right. So you're twisting over that top leg. Again, you can start to walk the fingers a little further away. You might want to take your block or your bolster as a place to put that right elbow and forearm. And then same option, left arm can come up and across around the back, or it can stay tented down while you ripple the chest over to the right. Softening through the shoulders. Just noticing that stretch you maybe feel through the right side, but also the front left hip flexor. And again, when you feel ready, back up to center. We'll take that block and put it on its highest setting. You might want a second one or a pillow. We'll find eagle arms. So it's left under right, cross elbows, cross wrists. And then see if you can draw the forearms down to that block. If the elbows suit you better, that's fine. And you might need to play around with where that block is in space. If eagle arms are not your thing, you can just let opposite forearms touch with the elbows crossed, or you can let palms touch, forearms touch, and just come to that type of prayer hand as you fold down. Maybe keeping those arms or releasing the forearms and then letting the head instead connect towards that prop of choice. And if it doesn't make it there, that's okay. You can stack something higher up, or you can always just let the head bow gently towards earth, drawing you downward slowly. And then walking yourself back up nice and slowly. We'll lean back momentarily and unwind the legs here. And then you can just let the feet come wide and the knees knock in, and maybe let them swish. If you're still on that block or bolster, you might want to remove it or not. And then we'll drop the knees, come back over to all fours. And this time the left knee stays up front, so we cross the right behind. And adjust yourself, and then again sit back onto whatever that cushion is that supports you here. And if that's the earth, that's great too. Being that we'll be here for a while and we're adding some twists and turns, making sure you're in a space that suits you. And then again, we'll just start to breathe here. Maybe the hands rest on the feet or on the legs. And then as you're ready, finding that block or pillow and putting it outside. So it's outside the left foot because that's the top leg, but it's to your right. And then we'll draw that right forearm down, let that left arm come up and across. Maybe you let that hand rest down, or that arm can wrap around the back. If you are comfortable with this right hand instead finding connection to earth, you can let that block slide out and let the forearm meet the mat. Remember, your block has a couple different heights, so you can put it on its tallest side, its middle side, or its shortest side. So you can adjust that as you are breathing here and staying. Keep that left hip rooting down. So if it's coming up, change your block height, make it a little bit taller so that that hip stays down. And then let the eyes close. Soften where you can, the jaw, the face, unclench the fingers. And then again, slowly as you're ready, start to lift yourself gently back up. Reset at the top here. Slide your block or a prop to the other side. And then we'll twist over to the left. And again, you can walk down into that sort of deeper twist. You can rest that left hand on the block and open the chest for a more similar twist to the other side. So if you're looking for some side body stretch, you can also half wrap that right arm. If you have enough space to drop the head to that bolster or block to the left, you can do that as well. So find a space that lets you stay. center. Bring that block with you or whatever you're using. And then start to find your way either just folding or again those eagle arms. Cross right under left this time. Press the palms away. Draw the forearms towards that block. And then fold the head down. Continuing to breathe. Slowly drawing the air in. And letting it come out. Just one more here in our cow face. And then empty. As you're ready, we'll come back up through a table this time. I'll turn back to face the short edge of my mat and then cross your ankles and have a seat. Let the legs come long forward and then we'll take them out just about hip height. You can take that bolster or block or anything and rest it sort of on the thighs. Walk it out so it's a little bit closer to the knees and maybe the feet hug it. And then see if you can fold down into it. Again, you'll come face down. You might notice that I turn my ear. If it doesn't feel close enough to the chest, that's again where you take that block on any height and you can put it directly under the bolster and you can even hold it with the feet if you feel it's wobbly. And then you can fold down in a more restorative fashion. And once you get there, soften and breathe. Maybe you hold on to the bolster and the block. Maybe you just let the arms dangle. Let the eyes find some heaviness and really tune into your breath. You may notice as you spend a little bit of time here, you can change the height on that block or remove it. Maybe you change out support devices for something a little less or lower. Breathe in. And breathe out. Just about another minute here.
starting to invite a little movement.
And then start to lift the chest back up. So we'll come back to something very similar, but this time we'll just take the legs out a little bit wider. And then same thing, this time we'll start by getting a little length and reach up. And then hinge to your left, reach that right arm across. We're not staying, so we'll come up, reach. Right hand down, go to the right. Do that again, reach up. The left side, hinge, let the left hand drop, breathe and reach. And over to the right. We'll stay on the left side this time, so come on up, let that left arm drop down, right arm hover. Maybe that arm wraps around the back, and then instead of staying upright, maybe you let the chest and armpit drape over that bolster with the right arm draping behind. You can also do this instead with a block, so it would be a little less of support, but elbow to that block, head is cradled in the hand, and then same thing, right arm behind. And if you'd like to combine them, you can always again prop your bolster up with your block to bring it up to you. Now if you find your right hip is lifting, if you have sandbags in your practice, and I'll show you on my left side since that's what you can see, you would put your sandbag sort of over that thigh as you were sort of leaning to the other side. So you can take that option for a little added weight or added support. So you can use 1 or 2 sandbags. You can use ankle weights if you have those. So something that would just remind that hip to stay heavy, even as you hinge and twist. And then we'll change the direction of that, so let the right arm come up, close it down, and then turn and face that left leg. So again, if you have a block instead of a pillow, instead of that elbow now cradling the head, you can turn your block horizontally and let sort of both hands be cradled. Or you can set that block tall enough that your third eye finds it and the forearms connect side to side. But in this round, we want to spin the right chest down as opposed to the last time it was floating up. And then we'll come up slowly and we'll just switch sides. So whatever you're using for the support, if again you're using any of those weights to help the hips stay down, shift them. And then we'll start either forearm or arm long, left arm up. Let that arm get some length, reach. And then maybe it wraps around the back as you soften. Left shoulder spinning up, although not super active. Again, just a couple more moments before we change that direction.
As you feel ready, you'll lift that arm up. And then you'll circle it down. Spill the chest to center. And again, refold. And again, just a couple more moments here. When you feel ready, walk yourself back up. And then come back to center. If you were using any weighted support, you can slide those off to the side. And then we'll put our bolster or pillow behind us so that as we start to lay down, it ends up sort of under the shoulder blades. So we use it for a supported bridge. So as you lay down, maybe the head drapes back, or maybe you support the head with a block behind. So if that feels better, you can support the head with a block. Once you've found where you're going, let the arms sort of come out around your pillow or your bolster. And then walk the feet out wide and sort of let the knees knock in. So once you are there, let the knees start to swish. And let those shifts right and left get a little bigger. So the feet sort of end up in that same mermaid pose that we did seated as they move side to side. And then next time the knees go right, you'll leave them there. And just breathe. Maybe the throat is open, maybe the head's supported. But pin that left shoulder onto that bolster. Again, just a couple more moments here. Let the knees come back up. And then maybe you swish a couple more times before letting them settle over and to the left. Again, that left foot is sort of towards the inner right thigh. Throat might be open or head is supported by a block. Breathe into the right hip and the right rib cage, the right obliques.
Don't forget to breathe. Keep your breath moving. Sending it to those spaces that are tight, that are clogged and cluttered. And then again, as you're ready, back up to center. Let the knees swish. And then you'll tuck your chin to your chest, sit yourself up to slide that bolster or pillow off to the side. And then we'll come back down to earth. Legs come long like you would for Shavasana, but arms up and overhead. And then we'll walk all of our limbs to the right corners of the mat. So hips and shoulders stay down. Reaching up through the arms into like a little C shape or crescent moon shape. You'll give that left hand a little tug. Maybe the left foot stacks on top of the right and then press the soles of the feet away. Just a couple more here. Come back through center, tuck the knees into the chest. And then we'll find a dead bug in the middle. So spine down, reach up through the legs, grab the soles of the feet, stack them up to the sky. Pull down through the legs. And then same thing, if you have any weighted devices and you have two of them, you can actually tuck them sort of behind the thighs. Make sure that you're in a safe space, that they won't land on anything of unnecessarily. But once you get them onto the thighs, you'll actually sort of hold those weights and then pull the legs out and down. So if you're using sort of ankle weights, sometimes they can have some harder components to them. So just make sure there's nothing that would create an injury to yourself if they fell off of the back of the thighs. Tuck the chin, press the spine down. And then as you feel ready, you can slide those off. Extend the legs back long. And then walk them over to the left side. Legs long to the left, hips stay center. And then arms do the same, up and over to the left. So crescent, a little crescent moon shape or a little C shape. You can give the right wrist a tug, maybe stack the right foot and press through the balls of the feet. If that feels like a lot of work today, we're in this more restorative or calm-like space. You can just let the legs, feet, and arms connect with earth, sort of arcing over in that shape. And then again, coming back to center, tucking the feet into the chest. And then same thing, one leg at a time. If you'd like to add a weight of any form, give it a hug with one leg so you can get your other one set up. And then as you're ready, hold onto those weights with the hands in some fashion. And then pull the hips down, draw the chin to the chest. And then unwinding those weights. Again, letting them come off to the side if you're using them. And then last little bit, give yourself just a little hug. And we'll rock a little side to side. Before we find our final rest, block or anything under the hips, feet straight up to the sky. Or if you'd like to leave the hips on earth, you can connect one of those sandbags to the soles of the feet and just let them lift up with that weight to the ceiling. Arms can come out to the sides or in goal posts. Eyes can close. Press the low back down. Just take notice of the natural ebb and flow within your own body. Taking just a few more moments here in the inversion you chose. If you put a weight on those feet, you can reach up for it. Again, just let it set off to a side. And then if you need to sit up to adjust any of your props, you can rock and roll through the spine until you find a comfortable seat. And then any place you'd like to put your props. So I'm going to set mine up behind the back of my knees and just lay back down for a Shavasana. If you prefer supported fish or anything else where you find support, take it. And then once you're in your final rest, just rescan the body. Reassess how it feels, what it needs.
As you feel ready, find your way to the slow side of your choosing, curling into a little ball. So if the legs were lifted, knees to chest, if they were over bolsters or props, tuck them into the midline and off to your right side. And then once you find your way there, for a moment, press up to a seat gently and draw the hands to the center of the chest. My heart speaks to yours. The light in it finds yours. They greet each other with peace, with love, and with kindness. Let our thumbs draw up to our third eye, or eye of intuition, knowing that you truly are a blessing. Namaste. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's great to practice with you guys through video. And until we meet in the studio again, I'll continue to post some of these. I am doing an abbreviated in-studio a couple classes. So for Yoga Flow, I am teaching just the 5:30 right now on Tuesdays. There is no 7 o'clock class yet. That is expected to come back probably end of summer unless there seems to be a demand for it sooner. And at Rival right now, my summer schedule is on Wednesdays at 5:30. Those classes are outdoors. And it looks like that class for the near future is going to be a bar class. So come check that out. It's at Ellen Hughes Park. All the info is on the websites for both of those locations. So that's right now my summer outdoor, indoor teaching schedule for the moment until we sort of see how things work out. And I'm sure we'll get back to some of those regular scheduled class times as the summer progresses or into fall. But if you're not able to make it to either of those places, or you're not comfortable, or you're not from the Pittsburgh area, I'll continue to post these for you to practice with on your own at your house. So send over your requests, your suggestions, or anything like that. Stay tuned, yogis. Namaste.